estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And thank you so much for spending some time with us on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got attorney Jason Kobal in the house. We're going to talk about a couple of new cases that he has here coming up, as well as Fred DeFelice, our water quality expert contributor, back on the show. We're going to talk with Fred about water quality in Tampa Bay and beyond. TikTok ban, is it a good thing or a bad thing? It's an interesting conversation. I'm going to have Senator Rand Paul weigh in on that. Interesting content from him and Tucker coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And before we do, a couple of hot listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We always like to feature our real estate listings live on air. It's part of a strategy that helps us maximize the exposure, maximize the profit for our sellers, and that way you're going to have a faster closing with less headaches with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. My wife Lindsay and I own a top 100 ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay. Been on air for 10 years here in Tampa Bay as well, so real proud of that accomplishment. 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey, one of my favorite listings right now. This is a gorgeous home. Mediterranean Palace right here in Tampa Bay. 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bath, 3,000 square feet, quarter-acre lot. Beautiful property. You have a heated pool with a waterfall, decorative tile, gorgeous backyard, fenced-in backyard, private backyard, elevator access from the garage, 2 sets of sliders. You got inside the laundry room there is located on the first floor. Beautiful property right here in Tampa Bay. You have an ensuite, luxury bathtub, walk-in shower, walk-in closet, gourmet kitchen. It looks like something just out of a beautiful Homes magazine, new Homes magazine here in Tampa Bay. 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey, gated community, waterfront clubhouse, heated pool, lighted tennis courts. Great opportunity to own real estate right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Also got a beachfront property on Gulf Boulevard. This is 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F, Indian Shores, Pinellas County, beachfront condo. Great opportunity to own real estate right on the beach. You can short-term rental this property. 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, 2,000 square feet, short-term rental opportunity, and only $250 a month HOA. Beautiful opportunity here in Tampa Bay, and you can see all of our real estate listings at platinumcoastalelite.com.
Yeah, I'm racing my class to those saving our ass overseas.
All right, we got Jason Kobal back in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Brandon. Always a pleasure. And before we even get started, I just want to say thank you for being on the air so long. And Fred and I, your next expert contributor, we're talking. We're so grateful, man. You always have good, useful content that helps the public. You know,
yeah, man. Practical. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. I appreciate that, my friend. So you got a new rideshare company case. This is an interesting place because, you know, if you asked 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, you said, hey, we're going to let our 14-year-old daughter, 16-year-old daughter get in a car with some random guy and he's going to drive her to who knows where, you would have thought, no, that's crazy. What do you mean? What's that premise? And then here it is. It's rideshare.
Yeah, and you know, we're all enjoying rideshare. I admit I've used them quite a bit. And, you know, we're talking about the Lyfts, the Uber, those type companies. There's so many now.
Yeah.
But I just got this new case, and every now and then, I love all my clients. I work hard. You know, I make sure my staff, we put 100% effort into every case. But I got to admit, there's some cases that really get you going. This is one of those cases, and I'm really looking forward to really digging in. But we all need to be careful because through this case, I learned something that I didn't know, and I'd like to share it with your listeners. So I've been using ride shares like crazy. My whole family does, but now we're going to be a little bit more careful because in this case, what happened was I had 2 clients that were in college. One had her birthday. They went out drinking like you would do for your 21st birthday, whatever.
Shots.
Yeah, that's actually very relevant. But
Probably not. Okay.
So they are done with their evening. They call for set up an Uber, and it's supposed to be an 8-minute drive just to their hotel. And they get in the vehicle. The Uber driver tells them, they tell him it's their birthday. He says he has a special shot for his birthday riders. That should have been a red flag there, of course, and they accepted the shot. As soon as that happened, 2 hours later, they wake up side of the road next to the hotel where they were going. They were supposed to go. Their phones were stolen and credit cards were stolen.
Jeez.
Long story short, a couple days later, police arrest this Uber driver, and he was drugging and raping riders. And when they arrested him at his house, they find my client's cell phones and their credit cards.
Wow.
He was the actual Uber rider that picked them up that night, according to the record. So, or not Uber rider, but a rideshare rider. But the point is, we got to be careful. You know, a lot of these companies, they're making a lot of money driving the public around, but they have a duty to keep the public safe when they do it.
Wow.
And when I got this case, I researched it, and I found that there's Uber, Lyft, all these companies, they're having claims like this all around the country.
Wow.
So we really got to be careful. Do not take anything from your Uber driver. Yeah. No drinks of any kind, no shots, of course. And always be careful. You know, use your phone if you can. If someone's being weird, you know, tell them you're on Facebook Live or something, point it at them. There's a lot of ways you could try to stay safe using your phone, but yeah, just be careful, because I know we're all using the rideshare companies, and this problem is real. It's happening right now, so you got to be careful. And they have it. And part of when I get a case like this, you know, you get all the materials and the documentation, and you know there's a problem because this shouldn't be happening.
Right.
And you got to see, okay, where's the problem? Is it hiring? You know, is it their policies? Is it they're not training these drivers? Well, I don't know, but we're gonna get to the bottom of it, because you can not only do well for your client, but you can do good for the public if you can help them out fixing this problem.
Absolutely. That's the right attitude to have. We're talking with attorney Jason Kobal. He's talking about a new rideshare case that just came up, and it's interesting. I mean, as I'm listening to that story, number one, I'm like, man, I'd like to punch this guy in the nose. But secondly, I'm thinking, how does he think he's going to get away with it?
I don't know.
I mean, it's all on the app, right? I mean, it's tracking you, unless it's some kind of a straw. You know, we call it straw buyer in real estate, where somebody poses as the person that's the buyer, and then they're going to try to extort funds. But in this case, it's probably that guy on the app, right?
Well, we know that. See, fortunately, it's early on in this case. I talked to the police, and we know that he is an Uber driver. But apparently, I have to get all the materials yet. There may have been more than one Uber account that he was a driver, which shouldn't even happen.
Okay.
And I don't know the legality of this person's citizenship yet either. Is a whole other thing, and that shouldn't happen.
Wow.
I don't know how he would have a driver's license. So there's a lot of things, a lot of unknowns yet.
Yep.
But yeah, just be very careful. You know, a lot of times things are too good to be true. And like you said, 10 years ago, that thought would be crazy. Oh, you're going to get into a car with a stranger.
Yeah.
But we all do it now, so got to look out.
And it's probably has a net positive on the society as a whole. If you look at the amount of people going to parties or events and concerts downtown and driving home, so you probably look at the net effect of that. Maybe drunk driving incidents are down, things of that nature. But yeah, so what's the scenario though? Yeah, you're going to have some bad apples in a case like this, in a situation like this, but. Yeah, that's tough, man. And Jason, talk a little bit about your practice in general, because you do personal injury law, work comp. I know you've done some defamation cases against some major big names that people would recognize as well.
Well, you know, I have to give credit to this show, too, because I met a lot of these connections through you. But, no, I've been an injury lawyer my whole career. Started out workers' comp, got into personal injury, and then I got into the billing aspect of it. But just recently, as you know, I had a couple huge defamation cases. We sued CNN, the Washington Post, and a couple other big name players. I won't get into the details of all those because those are still ongoing, but I'm honored to be involved in those cases. Represented Devin Nunes, former congressman, and even did some work for Truth Social for President Trump. So
nice.
Very honored to be involved in those cases. And you know how I feel about the fake news these days.
Oh, absolutely, man. And it's everywhere. It's unbelievable. The whole bloodbath, over the last 24-hour news cycle, 48-hour news cycle, unbelievable. They take things out of context. He's definitely talking about the auto industry, and bloodbath is an economic term. It's actually an economic term, right? So it just displays their ignorance as well on one hand, and then it also displays their bias on the other.
Oh, it's disgusting. That's a great example right there. And that's a simple one anyone could see. And it shows it's intentional, because what they did, if you hear the whole comment with the context, it's obvious he means economically.
Yep.
But if you take away the context and you just show the comment without the context and then lie about it and say he means always trying to start another January 6th, there's those wackos out there that are going to believe it, because they'll believe anything they want to hear about Trump.
Yep.
But it's disgusting, because that's not like an accident. It's not like, oops, they reported on it falsely by accident. No, they're intentionally misleading the public when they know darn well, if you see the whole context or hear the whole context, clearly he meant economically.
Yeah, and isn't there some law, or wasn't there some law at some time that, so internet providers, they have this Section 230 immunity, right? But wasn't there some type of a law? Somebody told me at one point there was something at one time, and maybe it got put away or, pushed out of the limelight, but where news organizations shouldn't be able to do that or can't do that.
That's a great question, man. And what happened was, this is all, and it's happened on different fronts. The New York Times v. Sullivan case protected these media outlets where you cannot sue them for defamation unless you could prove malice.
Okay.
So and I don't know, I think they're getting very close to wearing out that protection because they're abusing it so bad. And then along those same lines, if you see like members of Congress go, you probably wonder, how could they go on these media outlets and lie?
Yeah.
Because they do it all the time. If they are doing something in the position of being a congressman, they cannot be sued for defamation.
Wow.
So, and they believe that going on the media and giving public interviews that's part of their role as a congressman to advise the public. So you can't sue them for lying.
Yeah.
So these are entities that are protected under our system that are abusing their protections to mislead people.
Yeah.
And usually in history, when that happens, they eventually lose those protections. And I hope I help them do that.
I hope so. I'm with you there, my friend. We're talking with attorney Jason Kobal here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, a longtime friend of the program. And we do cover a lot of local stories, but we do like to touch on these national stories because there's so much implication there. And Jason, you and I have talked about the southern border many times, but I've got a clip here from Senator Ted Cruz, his podcast, and it's unbelievable what they found of one of the terrorists crossing the border. You may have heard of this.
Senator, I hate to say that this is something we talked about a long time ago and have been warning, but sure enough, another warning sign coming from our southern border with terrorists using and exploiting that open border to get into America.
Well, that's exactly right. We've got a big show today. Last week, a Hezbollah terrorist was caught at our southern border, trying to cross into this country, trying to come here to detonate a bomb in New York City.
So they actually caught him. That's his own words. He says, I'm with Hezbollah. I was trained with Hezbollah, and I was going to detonate a bomb, or I wanted to detonate a bomb. That was this guy's own words.
Yeah, that's disturbing because, when this all went down in Israel with Hamas, they said they're going to take advantage of our situation at the southern border to try to attack us here. Now, that was Hamas, Hezbollah. They're kind of all in the same kind of bunch there. They're all, proxies for Iran.
The same dinner parties.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's disturbing to see that now we have an example. But now, how many got through that we don't already know of?
Yeah.
And it's really disturbing. And President Trump used to say, and probably still says it, as far as, some of these countries are emptying out their jails and prisons and whatnot. And I was like, oh, gosh, that can't be true. And
they made fun of him for it.
Yeah, and then now there's been examples of that from Venezuela. I mean, it's disgusting. But if you have a country that has a leader that's not exactly, on the up and up, and then here we are, the strongest country in the world, but probably the first country to ever just have their border completely open, of course they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and announce it. Yeah, and we've said before, too, when Alex and I had conversations around this, our self-defense expert, Alex Lima, and we talked about, we can't blame them. They're going to come to the best place that they can for their family, and a lot of times it's not families. We've talked about that, too. It's fighting-age males. I've actually heard rumors, too. I can't remember where I saw this or read this or heard it, but it was a report of our actual government sending ammunition and weapons to hotels. So I don't know if there's a truth to that. I mean, I'm seeing a couple of people in studio here are nodding their heads. Yes, they've seen that. So does that mean? I mean, I'm just asking questions here. Does that mean that we might have terrorist cells that are being funded by our own government?
Oh, that would be disgusting.
With weapons being sent there, and then all of a sudden it's going to be, hey, today's the day, 911 or whatever the code is. Boom, let's go attack these white supremacist MAGA people, these white Christian nationalists. Could that be? I don't know. I'm just asking questions, right?
Well, that's good. But, asking questions these days, that's not always accepted.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. All right, we're taking a quick break. More with attorney Jason Kobal here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online. We'd love to connect with you at Brandon Rhymes 1, at CQB Show. Please subscribe to our Rumble channel, our YouTube channel, as well as our podcast. We will be right back. More with attorney Jason Kobal here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone, and it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next. Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite. Sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, quick shout out to our friends at Replenish IV Solutions, longtime friends of the program. I love going down there once a month. I get the vitamin infusion directly into my bloodstream. ReplenishIVSolutions.com. Check them out online. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. ReplenishIVSolutions.com. Say hello to Stephen and Lisa Gunnan. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. All right, hot listing for this segment, 6901 46th Avenue North, St. Petersburg. We have a mixed-use commercial property here. Great opportunity to own real estate right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Commercial building. So if you're a business owner and you're paying lease, if you're leasing a space as a business owner, why not own your own building with frontage on 46th Avenue? You got about 30 to 40,000 vehicles a day passing by. You'll have your own storefront, and then also in the back, you have a place to live. So you could have a live-in manager, someone to take a look at the building, or keep up the grounds. There's also opportunity to park boats, RVs, maybe additional work trucks. 6901 46th Avenue North, St. Petersburg, Florida. Great opportunity here in Tampa Bay. One of our commercial listings from the Platinum MVP team. And we've got about 60 current listings. You can see all of our real estate properties at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com. And we're talking with attorney Jason Kobal here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Big debate lately, Jason, has been TikTok, to ban it or not to ban it. You had almost a unanimous vote, I think, from the House, and then the Senate was pretty close. But it was interesting. I was listening to Tucker Carlson, that is, and he had Rand Paul on, and Rand Paul is, he's very strict in terms of libertarian and small government and protecting the consumers and the citizens' rights. Here's an interesting clip from Rand Paul.
My concern has always been with the centralization of power, with giving up power. I don't care whether it's a Republican or a Democrat president. Amen. I don't want any president to have the power to ban apps that are sold on an app store. And that's essentially what this is going to happen. 180 million Americans put dance videos up and whatever else is on TikTok, and they choose the terms of those services the same way people on Facebook do. And does Facebook scrape your data? Sure. Does Google scrape your data? Do all of these giant tech companies scrape your data? They all take your data. But the thing is there are now accusations. They say, oh, TikTok's owned by the Chinese government. The Chinese communists own it. Well, that's not even true. You can't say stuff just over and over again that's not true. TikTok is owned by about 60% of it's owned by international investors from all over the world. 20% is owned by the two Chinese software engineers that created the app. And 20% is owned by the employees of TikTok, which 7,000 of them are Americans. So there's a significant nexus of Americans in the ownership. And then there's a significant nexus of Americans using this. And they say, oh, well, the Chinese government owns it. It's just frankly not true.
Well, so it's an interesting debate, though, because, this has been in the news for a few days now, several days. And when you look at the scenario, that yes, there's a lot of bad stuff on there. There's a lot of this, especially with the Israel and the Palestine, and there's a lot of misinformation that's being fed to the younger generation, very naive generation. But I don't like. I agree with Rand Paul. I agree with Trump. I agree with some of the others that have weighed in on this, and they said, if you set a precedent of banning this app, right, and it also says websites, right? So where does that go? Does that go to Salem? Where do you stop that? Prager University, Charlie Kirk's, website, all these different places. So do we want to give the government that power to almost unilaterally just say, oh, no, we don't like this one, you're out. But yeah, Facebook, TikTok, we'll prop you up. By the way, Twitter, you're next, right? That's where my mind goes, Jason.
Oh, I agree 100%. And obviously, then when there's Republican leadership, they'll be, eliminating the ones that are bad for them, and then highlighting the ones that are good. And then when it's a Democratic leadership, would be the opposite. We don't need that. We don't need that. And I tell you what, it's funny with social media. And TikTok and all these companies, it really challenged our freedom of speech. I feel like as a society, as a country, we were okay with it when it was just verbal. Yeah. But then when we see it now in tweets and whatnot, now we're freaking out and overreacting. Mm-hmm. Like I think for years people have been BSing, and for years people have been taking terrible positions that have no evidence or just totally misleading people. That's normal. You're allowed to say whatever you want in this country. There's a couple things you can't say. You can't threaten the president. A couple other than that, though, we're allowed to say what we want. I think people should be able to say whatever they want. People should be able to read whatever they want, come to their own conclusions. And if people are being naive, believe in something that's misinformation, well, then it's on those that are on the other side to show them that that's what they're believing is misinformation.
Civil discourse. Have a debate about it.
Right. We cannot be doing the censorship and this is allowed and this isn't. And I see us going down that road, and it's wrong. Yeah,
it really is, man. And it's a scary, slippery slope. It's very pernicious, and it's in a position where we're at the cusp of it right now. And that's hopefully. So what can we do? Hey, let's just spread the word. Here's our opinion. Here's our thoughts. We're just asking questions about these ideas and topics. But we got a couple minutes left, Jason. I want to bring it back to personal injury law, work comp law right here in Tampa Bay. What do we need to know, and why should we care? What do we need to know?
Well, lastly, I have another new case I got this week, and it was from a poor guy. He was on a motorcycle, riding his own business on interstate, and this car wasn't paying attention, pulled out. Poor guy almost passed away. But his injuries are so severe that really they're just going to tender the policy. And so in a situation like that, I realize I'm going to send a letter. We're probably going to get the policy. I give a discount, a huge discount.
Wow.
If you're in a situation like that and you're seriously hurt and the insurance company is just tendering the check, you might want to be making sure your lawyer is getting paid for what he did. If you send a letter, your lawyer should be giving you a discount or something like that. Every case is different. So if you have a personal injury case and you're seriously hurt and you're not getting treated like gold by your lawyer, you call me up. Yeah, because you should be.
Talk to Jason Kobal. We highly recommend Jason Kobal, attorney Jason Kobal. That is 727-263-3707. Call or text the hotline, 727-263-3707. You can call or text that number. It's an off-air line. Also at consumerqb.com, you can submit an email form. That form is going to come directly through to me and my team. We're going to make sure we get back to you before our head hits the pillow. 727-263-3707 or consumerqb.com. And Jason, on social or the website, how do you want people to connect there?
Yep, TampaWorkCompLaw.com or KobalLaw.net.
TampaWorkCompLaw.com, KobalLaw.net.
Yep.
All right, good stuff. Thanks for coming in,
Thanks,
man.
Brandon.
Appreciate it. All right, we're coming up. We're going to talk water quality with our water quality expert, Fred DeFelice, in the house. We're going to talk with Fred DeFelice coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Waterscience.us is his site, and I can tell you firsthand experience. He has a first-class organization, does a great job. More about water quality, what's in the water, actually, too. We're going to talk with that. Fred DeFelice coming up. Also, cooler job markets greet graduates. Interesting story about graduates coming out of school. How many of them are getting jobs, and what's the prospects of getting hired? Coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call